challenge, but it speaks to a broader challenge that I think is extremely relevant and extremely challenging right now. And that is, how do I provide governance around AI? And I was just at this event talking to a former CIO friend of mine and saying that this is what he's hearing from he's now like doing advisory services to CIOs. He says every one of them is saying, what is my AI governance policy? What is my AI strategy? And the first thing I said is, you don't have one. It's this much more complex thing. But it's a real challenge on how you create it. And so we are seeing that play out in real time. And there's a new announcement coming out of the DHS of how they're approached. So I don't know if you want to cue that one up to talk about the whole kind of governance challenges around all of this.
Yeah, so the DHS is working on their AI safety board, and they have a very interesting set of executives. I was going to say a murderer's row but then I kind of, to use the baseball analogy, but then I started looking at the list, and it seemed like it was all over the place. Yes, you have the OpenAI and Anthropic CEOs there, but you also have random politicians who are in place here. You have the CEO of Adobe, which kind of makes sense, and then Fei Li, who makes sense, but then also the CEO of Northrop Grumman, which is obviously talking to the military, military distributors and providers. There's all sorts of random people, and then Maya Wiley, the Leadership Conference of Civil and Human Rights. It's like I'm not quite sure where this is going, except to say that they put a lot of people on this board who are probably going to be making some sort of compliance or governance decisions, or providing some sort of feedback for this AI, for how they're going to be looking at AI going forward. And I think this just speaks to the challenges and the difficulty of figuring out what kind of feedback you're even looking for as you're trying.
Well, so a few things. I mean, my first response is like, when you go through and the article itself, it listed like the highlights, and the CEO of AWS and the CEO of Adobe weren't even listed in the article. It's like, wow, what that tells you what kind of list it is. But yeah, you have the governor of Maryland, you have all these, all over the place. I'm actually probably a little bit more hopeful about this. Remember, it's DHS, so they're focused on this huge remit of keeping the homeland safe, right? Of all these kind of security elements, touches everything, and they're dealing with security risk at a cyber level, but also how does this apply on a physical plant level. So I think that it's a very difficult challenge that they're trying to address, and trying to anticipate all the different ways that AI can impact all of this. And I think it does speak to what I was telling my friend Greg, is that the first thing is that I think CIOs should be leading the conversation around the AI governance challenge. And then the second thing is they better not be doing it alone, right? They need to go and be engaging literally every functional group within the organization and have them a part of this conversation, because you just don't know where the impact is going to be. But we're pretty confident the impact is going to be everywhere, at least to varying degrees. And so I think that's what you're seeing sort of play out here, is that you have this massive swath. Now, the big challenge for both the DHS and I think for the average CIO trying to do this is, how do you herd those cats? How do you have that many people in the room with, not only they're all used to being the most important person in the room, and they're all in the same room, and with very divergent needs, opinions, agendas, and trying to rationalize all that. So my big concern for DHS, my big concern if you're a CIO trying to do this, is, can you actually get anything done? Is that in fact an effective way to govern it? I don't know, but I think it's a place you need to start. And so to me, the real question will be, what do they do? And really going to be the working groups and committees they form out of this, where they assign dedicated staff to actually get this done. So I think that the big thing that this did is the stake in the ground. These are super big names, super tons of credibility. And that is a really important organizational change step to say, this is critical. This is something we're taking very, very seriously. And then let's hope they can transition to getting the real work done.
Yeah, I'm always kind of amused when I see these large government boards, though, because it seems that like first of all, will they ever actually meet? And if so, what kinds of standards will they put into place? And the weird thing is because these people are so high at such a high level, the different if this could mean nothing. This could actually mean some significant changes happening in AI governance that will come to affect us. And it's really hard to tell until before you see what level of interaction these people end up having with each other.
Yeah, I think that is it is absolutely true. It's too early to tell. I see it
Mhm.
as a good sign. I see it as a good model to follow. And if I
But
was
yes, having that advisory board and having them be very high level, perhaps at the same level of quality as your actual board of directors, seems to be important because the judgment needed for AI is definitely going to be at a the judgment necessary is going to be at a very high level.
Yeah, and that's a great point if you're a CIO that if you as you're forming your governance and your strategy efforts, that it needs to include all of your internal top leaders. There needs to have that big staking around, but you also need that external input to do that.
Mhm.
And I think that's another critical takeaway. So I think there's good lessons learned here. How this particular thing plays out. What I find probably most shocking about it is DHS, while critical and important, is also just one function of the federal government. I'm really surprised if you're going to have this kind of star power that it isn't at a higher level than just DHS. That was the other part that was so. I think this is a story that is going to continue to unfold, but
But are we going to see
fascinating.
Sam Altman on 17 different government
Exactly,
department
which,
boards?
which doesn't make any sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll have to see how this all goes. But I think there's some at least some good interim lessons learned. And